Welcome to Patty's Aquatics. Now, in today's video, what if I told you you could set up a natural aquarium and it would be free, didn't cost you anything? It would cost you no more than you wanted to put into it. Would you believe me? Well, I'm going to show you that it's true. Well, the first thing that you're going to need is a tank or something that you're going to put it in. Now, for me, I'll show you what I got.
You can use anything you can get your hands on as long as it holds water. You can find tanks that are on the side of the road. You could find tanks that are maybe free on Marketplace. You can use buckets. You can use totes. You can use jars of any size. You could pretty much use any type of container you can find. But what I'm going to use is my 2.5 gallon nano tank that I'm going to reset up, and this fishbowl that I found in a back closet that's been sitting there for years upon years. So that's what I'm going to be using. But like I said, you can use anything you can get your hands on that's going to hold water and that's going to look cool for you. But now let's go to substrate. For that, we need to take a walk outside.
That's right, I'm getting dirt from my own backyard. Free, simple, and easy. The only one caution I give with this is to make sure you do not spray insecticides or any type of other chemicals onto your lawn. That may be the only thing you have to be worrying about, whether it be your lawn or wherever else that you get it from. But for dirt, you can just get it out of your own backyard, your local park or forest, somewhere where you can dig a hole and not get in trouble, basically.
Now, other than bringing it inside, you can prepare it if you would like. Some people will put it out in the sun or put it in the oven to kind of bake. What I did, though, too, is I added a little organic compost and Osmocote, what I had sitting around from past projects, and mixed it in with it, but you do not need to do that. Now that we got the dirt inside, the next step is to put it into our containers.
So I got the dirt in the containers. What you're looking for is to try to get about a 1-inch layer of dirt at the bottom of your container, and then the next thing you want to do is you want to get it a little damp, just enough to make it a little mucky, and then you're going to want to pat it out to make it your 1-inch layer.
Now that that's done, let me show you what we're going to cap it with.
That's right, I am getting my cap from my local lake around here, which is Lake Michigan, taking it right off the beach and put it into a bucket. Free, simple, and easy, and it looks cool.
Now that being said, you do not need to do a natural dirted tank if you don't like. There's other options. You can just use sand, or you can just use gravel or rocks or whatever you find. I prefer the natural dirted look, but like I said, if that's something you don't want to do, you can still do a free aquarium with substrate. Just use the sand or use the rocks. Now that we got the sand back from the beach, let's get them in our containers. Now what we want to do is we want to get at least a 2-inch cap on top of that dirt. So we're going to put that in these containers, but we want to put it in. You want to make sure you be careful that you don't disturb the dirt underneath and gently put it on. Unless, of course, you're not doing a dirted tank, then just chuck it in there. Now that the sand is in there, now it's time to start filling it with water. But this is where you need to be a little careful, as well as the dirted tank part of it. You want to gently put it in. I'll probably throw it on a Tupperware container, or you can put it on a piece of saran wrap or something like that to gently fill it up. I'll fill it up about 3/4 of the way, then I'll let you see what it looks like. So you got the water pretty much all the way filled up. So the next step is hardscape. And for that, you need to find an area that you can take a walk outside in nature and look around your local lakes or rivers or beaches or wherever you may be able to find some rocks or driftwood that you're going to find very cool to put in your little aquarium. For me, I walked along the shores of Lake Michigan and I found a couple cool things. First, I found these branches, these driftwood sticks. They're perfect for the tanks. And also, I found a plethora of rocks sitting everywhere. So that's what I'm going to be using to scape this tank. So let me play around with these two and see what I like, and then I'll show you what I've come up with. So this is the hardscape designs that I've come up with. I'm very pleased with them. I like the way that they look. My whole plan is I want the sticks to come up out of the water, and I would like to find some kind of plant that I can kind of grow immersed with it. In this tank, I really like how I put the rocks, and I really like the whole diagonal look of it. I don't know, I just really dig that one. And this one has kind of got that foresty look with the sticks everywhere. Really pleased with the way those turned out, but we're not done. This is just the skeleton part of it. Now we need to add plants. Now with me, I plan on adding plants that I have in my fish tanks currently. But if you don't have that available for you, that's where it could be a little trickier, but not impossible. There are ways to do it. One, you can go down to your local waterways and find aquatic plants that are in your lakes or rivers and take them and put them in your aquariums. Or you can look on Facebook groups. There's plenty of hobbyists out there who are just wanting to get rid of extra clippings instead of throwing them away. Or if you know any other family members or friends that are in the same hobby as us, and find clippings from them. So those are possible ways to find aquatic plants for free. Now, that being said, if you don't want plants and you didn't do the dirty tanks, you don't need to have plants in there. But I need to have plants in every single tank that I have. They're just so beneficial to the nitrogen process in a tank to not have them in there, in my opinion. Well, this is about 24 hours later. I put some plants in, and then I also put some fish in there. I'm really pleased with the way that they turned out. But let's go over each tank, and I'll tell you what's in them. Now, for this tank right here in the middle, you'll see that I have a little piece of pearlweed. I took some of it out of another tank, and I had some success with them being in the substrate, so I'm hoping that this will take off in this tank. And then I have little Wigia over here. I took a clipping out of another tank. Now, my hope for this one is that it's going to grow tall enough and get immersed and maybe be able to wrap around the top of that piece of wood there, but we'll see. Then I also have a clipping of Java fern here. I took this also out of another tank. I just kind of put the roots under the rock to kind of hold it down, and we'll see how that works out. But for the top, we have some red root floaters, and then I also have my Slovenia minima in here. I'm really digging the way that this tank looks. I'm very pleased with it. But for fish, let's talk about fish. I'm putting the exact same fish in here that were currently in there before, which is my male pink endler and then my female red dragon guppy. And then I also unfortunately found my other female red guppy that I thought was a female is a male, but that's what's in this tank for fish. Now, speaking of fish, where do you get your fish from? Where I'm using stuff that I have in my fish room currently, if you don't have that available, there are options. Again, it's the same as the plants. First, you can go to your local waterways. But if you do that, make sure you check your local laws to make sure that it is legal to do so. Also, the same as plants, you can look at Facebook groups. There's a lot of people sometimes just wanting to get rid of fish because they have too many. Or if you know any local hobbyists that are looking to get rid of fish just to get rid of them, that's another option as well. Now let's move on to the fishbowl. And I'd have to say I'm pretty excited about the way that this turned out. I'm really liking the look of it. It's very jungly with the branches coming up is almost the forest. The plants that I have in here are Ludwigia and pearlweed. But let's start with the Ludwigia. What I did was I found a large clipping that was about almost a foot long. And what I did is I wrapped it around the back of the bowl. Now, with this plant, it shoots out roots from the stem and it grows up. So I put that so the roots would go down into the substrate. And my hope is that they'll grow up to the surface. And then with my pearlweed, I put it in the center in the substrate as well. Then I also have floating plants in here as well. It's the same as the other tank. I got redroot floaters and Slovenia minima. And then, of course, the duckweed that makes its way into every tank I ever set up. As far as inhabitants in here, what I found were blue dream shrimp. I have them in an existing tank, and I did a little maintenance in there, and I found about 6 or 7 of them. Then I chucked them in here. They're hard to see in here so far, but my hope is that they will colonize and they will be everywhere. But yeah, really digging this fishbowl. Do you remember the beginning of this video when I asked you, would you believe me if you could set up an aquarium for free? Well, the answer is yes.
And I challenge each and every one of you to go out there and try it. If you've never done something like this before, it's a crazy cool experience, and I completely loved making this video for you guys. I loved going out in nature and just looking around and trying to find things that I wanted to put in an aquarium and to be able to run it and be able to look at something like this every day. It's fun. Like I said, you can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on these big, huge tanks, and they're cool. Don't get me wrong, I would love one. But you can set one of these up, no matter what the size, and you can make it look just as good, if not better. So, like I said, I really enjoyed making this video for you guys, and I challenge you guys to go out there and try it. Go try walking along the river or lakes somewhere near you and just go find some supplies that you want to put in a little container that you may find. You never know what you could find and how much fun you'll have doing it. So if you like this video and this kind of content, why don't you go check out my channel and thinking about subscribing. I've got lots of changes coming up in the fish room. I'm changing over probably at least 3 tanks, so you don't want to miss any of them. So make sure you hit that notification bell if you do subscribe, because you do not want to miss any of those. And thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time here at Petty's Aquatics.